Here we go, another wonderful Blind Guardian discussion, this time about the live album, which is actually called Live. Welcome Mark, welcome Roddy, welcome Markus, Andre, Tom, and
last but not least,
Charlie Borfeind. We want to go home.
Yeah. First of all, I have to call him Hansi instead of Hansi.
You can also say Hans, you know.
And that's Andre, not Andre, and I will do my very best. So.
Then just keep your mouth,
Uh-huh.
and all will be good.
That's.
But could you please call me Thoman?
Yeah, Thoman. No.
Well, there are two standard ways to present the live album. The first one is, of course, to record one show and release it, or we can do it like you did on live, record, I think, almost 30 shows and then pick the best songs. How come that you decided to do it like this time?
It gives you way more options. I mean, if you record one show, then whatever you played in that gig, that's all you can work with. And if you record 30 shows and you change the set list in between, you end up recording way more material, so you can put more songs on the album. You can really pick the best versions, because if you just record one gig, you might have a bad night and then you have a problem. And with 30 gigs, you can easily pick the best versions of whatever song you want to put on the album. So,
With nowadays technology, you can do that. You know, that's a privilege, because back in the days you were always depending on tape machines which were running, and you know that was quite difficult in a touring situation. Now you just have your computer and you put the button, you push the button, and that's it. Then the show will be recorded, and one can decide afterwards if it was a good show or not.
Yeah, but when we recorded live, there was no computer, so we recorded with an ADAT system, which was very very extraordinary, because we had a huge rack that we transported for recording the shows, and we even brought the ADAT system to South America and the States and everywhere, and we brought one more engineer who was in charge to build all the system. It was a huge thing we did there.
Yeah, we did some computer recordings, but that was hard disk when you were involved, and we have had our own system, which is a quite nice side story. And we had another engineer who was supposed to be in charge of this system. So basically the Spanish shows, they were supposed to go on hard disk as well, but the engineer, he went on the road with our support band, Freedom Call, back then. And in France, I think it was Lyon. They just went to wherever they went, and they left the bus unattended, and so our hard disk recording system has been stolen prior to the shows.
Yep, it was.
End of story.
Yep.
But to come back to the first question, we still had in our bags or in our minds that we barely got enough material for the Tokyo Tales, because there we only recorded 2 shows, 2 nights in Tokyo, and the shows had an awesome atmosphere, but we were really messing up some songs, and we could barely, out of these 2 shows, we could form one live album in the end, and it was a vinyl, so it was only 45 minutes or something that we needed. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to get more material, and that was still in our minds, and we said, okay, we don't want a situation like this ever again. We need more material that we can choose from, the best songs, the best quality, because we always go for good quality. So we wanted to record many shows, and we wanted to chase the magical night, the magical moment where we say, wow, yeah, that was exploding, and we have it on tape.
So how many dub tapes and hard discs did you receive then?
Tons. Well, I think, if I recall right, we recorded Düsseldorf, Stuttgart, and Munich, I think. I went there with a hard disk recording system, and I was in an extra room, and this was a little bit of a different recording situation than when they went on to Spain, Italy, and you took the rec and the tape recordings. And the tapes, I don't know how many, I think it was like at least 8 per show, because it's only like this video cassette stuff or whatever, so it was like tons. And then we had to load in tons and make it so we could actually have a rough mix and stuff. And some of the stuff was really amazing, because I think also like a big part of this process is that you get like the different feelings. Like South America is reacting totally different from the audience side. I mean, that's at least what I heard. I was not there. I could not go with these guys. Actually, I was up in Sweden at that time.
And additionally, we
For-
recorded
Spain.
tons of mini discs as well during the shows. And that's what we listened to also later when we split up and said, okay, you listen this show, this show, this show, you listen this show, this show, because there was so much, we couldn't have listened all.
We listened to all.
And
No,
we had to.
Of course.
I have a huge
Of course.
box of rough mix
Of course.
CDs that
We
Charlie
did
made
a
us.
pre-selection,
I was here
and
for
then
years.
when everybody said, I think this song was a cool performance, then we listened to these ones that we pre-selected before all again.
No, I think you're
And that-
mistaken.
No,
No.
I listened
was
to
like
I listened to all the shows, and we had a list, and I think maybe I can still find the list. But we had list, and we were comparing the list, and everybody had listened to all the shit, and then only the songs that had at least 2 or 3 votes.
He just
That-
listened to all because he didn't trust us.
That was
One
very,
would not
very
guess,
much.
but
I would better listen to
we
all.
have had different tastes, so
Right.
I think it is rather possible that everyone listened to everything, because we all
Yeah.
had a different impression. It was obvious after each and every show. He went downstage and he said, "Well, that was the best show ever." I came down and said it was a nightmare. He said, "Well, it was mediocre," and you said, "Yeah, it was good."
Yeah, and
So
I
we had 4
remember.
different opinions.
And I
for
remember
every show.
there were some songs that I selected, and you said, "Oh no, we cannot take it because there's a drum mistake." So how would
Right,
this
because
work?
we didn't listen to them all. You know what I mean? That's
That's your logic.
I really cannot recall.
because otherwise I would
We-
have heard
we-
it before already.
I
would
still
have
have
said
a
correctly,
huge
no,
box with all the
impossible.
CDs.
Yeah, I would say
You
so
know,
too.
we
but
had
if
all
it
the-
was
But I
all the
listened
shows,
afterwards
I don't
when
know.
you
He
said
made
we
rough
listened
mixes
in
for
between
us.
the
I
songs.
was here for a
And we
long time.
selected
as I
them.
said.
If we would select things before, then we would not have both listened to that song, right?
Right, and it was like that. And then you said, look, this performance from you, I think, was really cool.
Okay, we have a judge there.
Again, I was here for a long time doing rough mixes of all the shows.
Too long.
Who listened to them? I don't know. I listened to them for sure at least once.
You distributed them as
Yes.
well.
But your opinion did not count.
I know. I was just. But I remember on the Düsseldorf show, it's really mind blowing because I was in a back room, so I could not see the stage, and they were like playing, and I think it was after part song or after they stopped because the audience would just go on cheering, and I thought something broke or something happened on stage, so I ran the whole way up to the stage, opened the door. And then they were just standing there, and I was like, "Fucking brilliant!" Then we ran back and recorded the rest of it. But it's what it, the main shows that I recorded, like with the Pro Tools system, they were really great. And then of course, you have like all the Italian and like a Spanish, and it was from all over the world, and they all had their special moments. And of course, it's like he was saying, cool, let's use this show, and then someone else comes in, no, there's like, mistakes here and there, so it was like, okay, I mix another show and another show and another demo and rough mix of the stuff, and then finally, I think it took forever to really select the songs.
Yeah.
It was really, really a long process, but I think it was worth it for me. It like in the end, like the whole package, has like this different fields and the different atmospheres catched very well.
Yeah, but you
That's
captured that quite good in the mixing.
Yeah.
I think this of the 3 albums plus the DVD we did is our roughest legacy with regard to a live recording, because it's quite honest and it has the rough energy of whole Europe or the whole world. I cannot recall. I think at the very end we just used songs from Europe. You feel that there is a movement with each and every song, but on the other hand, it feels totally naturally to me when I listen to it, and that is even in the introductions. I go from English to German to Spanish, Italian. The few words I can speak, and it feels totally logical to me and totally natural.
And as a side note, you really must love working this way, because I think that you made a selection for the latest live album
Yeah,
the
it
same way.
was comparable. It was comparable, but I think we were tending more towards perfection with Live Beyond the Spheres in comparison to the live album we did with you. That was like, let the fans shine, and we get that rough feeling we want to have, while Live Beyond the Spheres is more a band performance thing.
Yeah, since Tokyo Tales had been released, you had released 3 studio albums, and the song structures had started to become more and more complex, especially, if you compare Follow the Blind with A Night at the Opera, it's almost 2 different things. Can you tell us about the process when you're adjusting the studio versions so that you see what will work out live? Does it ever feel almost like you amputate some of the songs, or is it a big process?
You have to rearrange things, because on the studio recordings you can record as many tracks as you want to, and on stage, for example, when we're talking about guitars on stage, there's Andre and me, so we can only play 2 guitars, so we have to figure out if a certain part needs 2 rhythm guitars or a lead guitar or an acoustic guitar or whatever, and how we split things up. And the live versions are different. They kind of develop their own life and their own spirit, but it's more raw, it's more energetic. But I actually like it a lot.
But it's not like a surgery. It's a logical decision again. It's very organic. Once you're in a rehearsal room, you get a quick feeling which song could work and which might cause problems. And we're not doing compromises usually. So if a song really creates problems, we just put it aside. Like the opera stuff, we still put aside, because it's really, really difficult to transfer them into rough versions which are listenable. We luckily succeeded in And Then There Was Silence and in some of the other songs, but that is still a tough challenge. As for all the other albums we did, I believe we always come up with very nice solutions which pay tribute to the song.
Do you ever work the other way around, that you can ask you that you start writing a song and suddenly you feel, nah, this will never be possible to play it live, and then you adjust it to make it easier?
No,
No.
that never happened. We don't think about live situations or bringing the songs on stage. That would be a limitation from the very first moment, and it wouldn't be good for the creativity. You want to have all options and all possibilities, and try to go a step further with a new song and maybe reach something new, a new level. So limitation would be a negative thing, and it's a challenge later on to play around with a studio version and cover it on your own. We don't fear it. It can be lots of fun to create these live versions. But when we write something, we have all possibilities, all options.
So I think it was never a question when we worked in the studio to say, oh, this cannot be reproduced live or anything. We just, whatever comes to mind, you just do it. And then later on, of course, maybe this doesn't work, or, and then there's basically a new version, which is also like over the years, because I remember like when we were redoing the silence thing, that after years they come back and say, now let's, re-record some stuff in the new live version and, go back and rework it again then for studio stuff, which is really interesting because all the songs evolve. I mean, if you listen even like to the parts on the original version of the record and what's happening now is like, it's just always fluid, which I think is great, because a lot of bands nowadays go click, beep, beep, whatever comes on stage is basically like, I put in the CD and just see a video to it. So I much rather, have a new version which is exciting, which might feel different even in certain spots. I think that's the beauty of it when they go and rework the stuff, because sometimes it's when you hear it live for the first time you go like, okay, like last time when I was here with the live rehearsals and stuff, and you hear it for the first time played and you go like, oh, that's interesting, because I have my feelings. This part, should be like this and this, and then you go, it's not, but it works great, And otherwise, of course, there might be some parts where you go like, doesn't work, then it gets complicated.
Wasn't it in Denmark when we recorded Imaginations, or for the mix of Nightfall, when we watched the show from Queensrÿche there? Do you remember this? When they didn't have the amplifiers on stage anymore, when we said, it was a perfect show, but there was no live feeling anymore. It was really like, watching a video, as you said, and the sound came from a CD. That was really perfect what they did there. It was impressive, but it was no live feel anymore. Anyhow, you don't need it this way.
I prefer it this way. When a band really comes up with a basically new version for live. And of course, it has to work, and they always find a really great way, I think, for the live.
Sometimes you don't even realize that the song changes. You start playing it in the beginning of the tour, and by the band dynamic, it morphs somehow to something else. And when you listen to a version like 40 shows later, you realize maybe, what happened to that song? We play it much more in a cooler way with better flow or something. But that happens automatically when you play as a band, and that can only happen, I think, in a live situation, because then you have all that adrenaline and stuff that you try to give more than 100%, and then you maybe bring in the little tricks that you wouldn't do in a rehearsal situation. So if you play it 100 times in the rehearsal room, the song stays the same, but if you play it 40, 50 times on stage in front of audience, something will happen to the song.
I think some of you have become fathers before you went on the A Night at the Opera tour. So how did that affect your touring experience?
It was a difficult experience. Markus experienced that years before, and not being a father means I did not really know what he was missing, but I, for example, missed the first birthday of my son. And these are some of the sacrifices every musician has to bring in at some moment in his career. There is no way around it, and every one of us experienced that. And up to the day, it never changed. So there's a deep understanding of all the friends and family members what the music and what Blind Guardians mean to us. So it is difficult for us, but it's also difficult for them, to be away from us. But that's just how it is. I mean, you cannot change it. What are you supposed to do, to stop in the middle of a tour? Every artist knows that this is no option. And one has to arrange with it.
Yeah, there's nothing like weekends or holidays or birthdays or anything. When you're on tour, there's a show day and there's a day off, and you know that's it. If your kid has birthday, too bad. If it's your birthday, you can have a party on the road. If it's your wife's birthday, call her, whatever. But you know you can't stop the tour. Can't just say, oh, I'll be back in 2 days. I have to go home because of a birthday or anything.
You're out of the band. Bye.
Yeah, it's the same with illness.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sick on the road, again, everyone experienced that. You will go on stage, no matter what. You hurt your leg, you hurt your arm, they will play. My throat is gone. What am I supposed to do? I will go on stage and, you know, do whatever I can do to entertain the people. Some people understand it and appreciate it. The others might not appreciate it, but the other option would have been cancellation, and this is no option for us.
Yeah.
That never has been, and we all agreed on it, and I believe it's the only way to go.
Yeah, I think that the only cancellations you have made has actually been because of flight delays or...
Well, there was one show cancelled where I was sick, and that was in Brazil, and we basically could have played the shows, but you know we couldn't take our flights, so it was still related to something else as well. But I was kind of grateful not being forced to play at that particular show because I was very sick. And on the last show we had an issue with you when you know it was almost impossible to play, or with Frederick, who's not here now because we're talking about live, and even as a drummer, and this is even more demanding than for a vocalist, you know, he was physically not able to play, but he went out and tried to play. We did as many ballads as possible, but as said, cancellation, there's no way.
Tormen Live turned out to be the last recording before you guys went your separate ways. How do you judge the album today? Well, was it a good legacy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I liked it a lot, and it was a very strong tour we had behind us at that point, and to listen to the album later of what we created there during the tour was a big success finally. Yeah.